Okay. Surf's up. This is going on YouTube. By the way, I am co-streaming all of IEM Cologne on my Twitch stream. If you aren't following on Twitch by now, you should be. And then you should subscribe and give me your hard-earned Amazon Prime, which you're using to watch whatever TV shows it is you people watch nowadays. I'm going to be doing a tier list here of all of the Awpers that are at IEM Cologne. I know that there's a couple Awpers that you would obviously want me to rank, but this is a tournament-specific tier list. And instead of doing S through D tier, which is where I normally would do this, I said should be competing for titles, passes the eye test, an occasional win condition, getting by, and hurting their team. So I'm going to go through all of these Awpers, and I'm going to start by putting one in each category that to me represents what it is that they are doing. This is mostly focusing on who they are as Awpers, but I'll talk about them as composite players too. If they're an in-game leader, that'll give them some bonus points. If they are a hybrid, that maybe gives them some points. We'll see when we get there and we need to talk about them. But I'm going to be pretty honest with these in terms of my perceptions. I will draw upon stats from time to time. I will draw upon stats, of course, but I think some of these are just so obvious that I'm not even going to really pull up the stats. First things first. Should be competing for titles. We're going to go with somebody. I already have them in the very first position. This is very abundantly obvious. MartinezSa. MartinezSa should be competing for titles. How much more needs to be said about this kid? I really don't think that the slight dip in performance that he had at EWC needs to be overblown, because at the Blast Spring Final, or Blast Fall Groups, that is, at the Blast Fall Groups, he was by far the best player of the event in terms of rating. And in every single G2 game, the kid just farmed everybody. And I think that the Blast Groups is a very small tournament, and it's just a group stage. It's in front of it's in a studio, but MartinezSa has obviously proven at this point that it doesn't really matter what sort of environment you drop him in, online, LAN, big tournament, big arena, he's going to perform. Even his very first Katowice a couple of years ago, he was just dominant. So it is no question there that MartinezSa, top 2 player in the world for me, and definitely number 1 on this tier list. And it's going to be lightly ordered, this whole list. Okay, moving on. Someone that is hurting their team. I brought this up before. I think that this team actually has some legs. I think that the investment that they're getting as a roster is commendable to the organization. And I think that they're representing a region that otherwise doesn't seem to have the best in terms of opportunities. Although, obviously, Talon has joined the mix. And hurting their team, to me, every time I watch a FlyQuest game, unfortunately, I have been disappointed by Alistair. I understand that he's good against domestic opposition, but when he ever faces any team that's not from Oceania or Asia, really, it's just been disastrous. And I'm going to put Alistair immediately in the hurting their team category. I think that he will probably end up near the bottom of this list for Awpers. And I think that he, of all people, needs to reevaluate his own performance and what he's doing in the server if he wants to give FlyQuest a serious opportunity, because FlyQuest right now are not necessarily favorites to even make it through the play-in stage of Cologne, and that's not good enough. For some of the players on their teams, for INS, for Dexter, those are 2 guys that I've had my qualms with before, but when it comes to how well INS is playing as an individual, he could easily jump ship to any English-speaking roster and be an asset for those kinds of teams. And people, like the rest of his team behind him, isn't seemingly up to that same standard. Although Dexter is an in-game leader who's made it to the semifinals of a major, quarterfinals of a major. He's had some deep runs. He had to, he wasn't my favorite in-game leader in Tier 1, but he absolutely should be IGLing a top 15 team in the world. But it seems like some of the pieces behind him, including Alistair, are hurting him from doing that. An occasional win condition. This is a category that's kind of essentially B/C tier. Something that should be stated is that should be competing for titles means like every tournament they enter, they should be competing for a title with their own performance, okay? So this is going to be a slim category. It's not even really about the team that they're on. And an occasional win condition means that they are helping their team now and then. Actually, I got it. I got one guy that has drawn the ire of a lot of people because the roster that he's on isn't necessarily always going as deep as they need to be, but by his play alone, I feel like he's more than just getting by. I think he's doing a solid job, and that's going to be hallzerk. hallzerk is an occasional win condition. Usually the best player on the team is a liege. That goes without saying. But frequently, hallzerk is doing pretty decently. He's doing pretty decently there. So this is, I think hallzerk deserves to be there. And again, think of this as like B tier, C tier amongst these Awpers, okay? hallzerk's landing, and this is, it almost is like, this is S tier, which will be really slim, and this is A, and this is like B/C. So not that bad. This is good. This is a good thing for hallzerk. I'm saying that's a good thing for him, okay? Now, let's think of someone that's passing the eye test, and I mean that in a very positive way, okay? I mean passing the eye test in a way where not only are they a contributing member to the team, but they're very exciting to watch too. They're contributing in a very noticeable way game to game with everything they're doing in the server. Somebody that is passing the eye test for me is a major champion. Somebody that I have, I've compared him to a lot of people recently. I feel like I have even some doubts of what he's doing in the server as an Awper because I don't think he's aggressive enough. But I also think that the system that he's in doesn't really allow him to do that. That being said, I've never even really seen him be aggressive on his previous teams. And that's going to be wonderful. It's going to be wonderful. Definitely passes the eye test. I'm not going to say that he should be competing for titles every single tournament he plays because he doesn't take over games every single time, okay? He's not a player that's just, by and large, making his team a championship contender every single time. Wonderful's inconsistencies have also spelled Navi's inconsistencies. Some of the reasons that Navi hasn't necessarily gotten into the playoffs of even getting into the playoffs of every tournament they're going to is because Wonderful isn't always performing at that high of a level. So he is a major champion. Wasn't the best team on his team for the major. Wasn't the best team when they won EWC either. Pretty much it's a weird case where he's a good Awper, but he's very rarely the best player on his team. I mean, by very rarely, I mean through the course of an entire tournament. He doesn't always find total, just monumental impact game to game. Now, getting by. Getting by is not where you necessarily want to be, but it means that you're contributing enough to your team right now. And this is probably going to surprise some people. I rate this guy very highly in terms of what he's contributed overall. And I feel like CS2 has not been as kind to him. I have been a little bit more hesitant when it comes to praising him for his individual ability in this game. He is a major winner also. He's a major MVP also. Yep. I don't rate him as highly as I used to. It's Jame. Jame is just getting by right now. Oof. I have just the inconsistencies with VP. Jame is kind of like right now, unfortunately, Jame in terms of impact is kind of like a poor man's Wonderful. It sucks. It really does suck. Because he's not as clutch as he used to be. He's not as good with the rifles as he used to be. And because of his inability to rifle well in CS2 and even call great T-sides as he used to me, he's just kind of getting by. And I feel like Kassad has drawn into question his leadership ability at this point. And now it feels like there's a power struggle between him and Electronic. And now they brought in a new coach. And I don't know what to make of this VP team. I'd say getting by is fair. And here, I'll bring up the stats. Because people aren't really sure of what to make of Jame, and I'm going to show you guys right now. This is, to me, getting by. Past 3 months for Jame, this is just getting by. 1.08 rating, and he has an incredible... And guys, of all of the people that abuse rating for what it does for DPR, Jame is number 1 on that list. He's number 1 on the list for he's a rating inflator based off of his own playstyle. Okay, I know that that's frustrating for a lot of people to hear, but look at just how he's doing in these tournaments, okay? EWC is a surprisingly strong tournament for him, but that to me was an aberration in what was otherwise not really that impressive. Bet Boom, Belgrade, it's getting by. He's getting by, okay? 1.00, 1.04 at Dallas, 1 point, like these numbers aren't really contributing. Like look at Blast Spring Final, which has been the best result practically for VP. Flit was better, and the rest of his team barely did well. I'm not going to say that even occasional win condition feels a little too strong of what I want to say about Jame, because he just doesn't activate himself nearly as much as what he's done before. His KPR is extremely low for amongst a lot of these Awpers. But if anything, guys, this is ordered player for player. So device, he switched over to the in-game leader role. He's actually maintained some decent individual form. And to me right now, for what he's doing, also, he's a good rifler. And I think that's kind of boosted his numbers a bit, because I think that his rifling is really strong. And he's still a really smart individual player. He's still really, really solid. I'm going to put him right now into the passes the eye test category. This is kind of, yeah, he's like A-, B level player. I would rate him higher than all of these other Awpers right now. Next to a Wonderful, it might feel a little weird to put Wonderful above him, and I think they're pretty similar. They're pretty close right now. For what I've seen in the games where I've watched them both, I've kind of rated them pretty similarly. So passes the eye test, yes, and I think that right now I would probably, if I factored in his in-game leading ability, I would probably change him to an occasional win condition, but as an Awper, he passes the eye test, okay? Now, NQZ from Pain. NQZ from Pain, to me, not as strong as some of these guys. I don't think I put him in the top 3 tiers. To me, it's kind of like, is he better than Jame or not? I think against domestic opposition, he has been better than Jame, but when he faces tougher opposition, this is where I'm going to actually have to bring up the snacks a little bit here. So I'm going to bring up NQZ. Been actually very strong versus domestic opposition, but when it comes to playing, let's just do an even greater sample size, but not just domestic opposition. Top 50, it goes down a considerable amount. Like, his rating looked really good. You probably were kind of impressed right there for a second, but then you start to even kind of like go into the weeds here, and like versus top 20, this guy is not really cutting it. He's not really cutting it. Yeah, he's a ghost. He's a ghost. So I think he's got to be a little bit lower. If we look at let's just even put this events, and let's talk about some of these events that are lands that really matter to me. Get Rio was very good. Again, like versus domestic opposition, he's fine. But the opening stage of the major and the major itself, like this is when he's actually playing some real opposition. Not good versus Navi. Not even really good versus Mongols. Dastardly bad versus VP. Yeah, so to me right now, and everything I envision when it comes to Payne's run at the major was not necessarily propelled by him. When I think of what Payne did, it was Big Azera, it was even Nissim, even Lux were better. Yeah, and that's like, yeah, and NQZ is kind of near the bottom here. So to me, when it comes to this level of opposition, versus these kinds of players at IEM Cologne, guys, when it comes to IEM Cologne, I'm going to actually put him at the top of hurting their team. I think he's better than Alistair, but it's kind of the same thing. It's like you guys are both farming your local scenes, but I just don't really see it versus the international competitions. And this one was a flash in the pan. And to me, he made more of an impact than NQZ did. Hyped, alternate attacks. So I'll just say what I saw from him on Big. At the very beginning of what he did on Big, he was pretty exciting. He was fairly aggressive. Did not feel like he had a great understanding of where to go in mid rounds, but he would stay really active. And so he caught some teams off guard, but he always kind of just pushed until he died. Okay, that was the problem. That was the problem with Hyped as a player. I almost think it's unfair to put him in hurting their team right now. But like, this is a tier list, and I'm going to be honest. And right now, Hyped is probably right there for me. I will bring up the stats. So in the past, let's do 2024 for Hyped, 1.07 rating. And this is practically against no top opposition at all. I don't even know if there's a single land here. So he has 2 lands, and you've never even heard of either of these lands. Yeah, I'm just going to be honest. Like, there's no way that this guy's even... I actually, you know what? To Alistair's credit... Oh my god, he's a land god. He's actually a land god. I'm just kidding. It's against who even knows who they... So I think this might be the lowest ranked player on my list. Yeah, guys. Versus Metisport, not very good. Versus Endpoint, not very good. Versus Permita, not too hot. Versus Illuminar. Did he get farmed by Ultimate? Did he get beat by Ultimate here? Ultimate didn't play. Okay. Let's see. Versus... And... No. Versus Passion UA. That's a little surprising. I didn't expect that to be good. Yeah, I'm gonna just keep it brief, keep it simple. I don't need to dive too deep into hyped. I don't think he's gonna be a contributing member, nor do I think, or I mean, that's not the right way to put this. I don't think that he's gonna positively contribute to the point that he's gonna actually punch up to any of these categories. Especially look at how low I rank Jame. If I put Jame in getting by, hyped is not getting out of hurting their team. Okay. Now Maka for 3D Max. Might actually, I think he's in the getting by category based on the very, very little I've caught of 3D Max. Actually really good, but not, oh, okay. Actually, you know what? That's not bad. That's actually not bad. Wow. Actually, that's pretty impressive. That might be above getting by. Is he using the op a lot? Yep, he is. He is. Well, yeah, he is using it a lot. Okay. All right. That's actually pretty impressive. And he's also got a huge mustache and I like his smile. So because of all of those factors, I'm going to put him into an occasional win condition. I'm going to say this. The things about Saw that I've liked when I've caught their games is Eras Dos, and I've liked Eras Dos, Sweet Rice, and I've liked U-Jerks. Story has been a hindrance to Saw to me. I feel like I actually have more faith in Muteris. If I actually have to go with the core 3 of Saw players that I think are doing their job, I'm going to go Erasdos, U-Jerks, and Muteris, not even in that order. Story has been a hindrance, and I'm actually going to put him right here. I'm going to put him in hurting their team. I think one of the reasons Saw is not an exciting team for me to watch, generally, is because Story is a pretty lackluster Awper. Yeah, so I'm not... I did watch enough to know that, okay? So now Martinez for 9Z. I've actually thought Martinez is pretty good. Everything I catch of Martinez, he's a little raw, maybe makes a couple mistakes here and there, but he could be pretty impressive when he needs to be, and he can be a win condition. I actually think that Martinez can be a win condition. Let me see how the stats back that one up. Martinez here... versus, so events that he's played lately. IEM Dallas. Oh my God. Yeah, he did really well in a really serious event. And this is basically where I've been catching, where I think the Vitality game was, yeah. I don't know what it is about Latin American Awpers and farming Zywoo, but they have a knack for it. Think about Try. Think about Martinez. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, yeah. But Martinez, I'm going to put as a high... Ooh, he might even pass the eye test, but I'm going to put him on top of an occasional win condition. I'm going to put, yeah, top of an occasional win condition. I actually think he's really sharp in what I've seen, but limited, very limited of what I've seen of him. Now, Zorte is not going to be playing the event. Zorte is not going to be playing the event, but to me, in CS2, he's just been getting by. I'm going to leave it really brief at that because he's not really going to be at the event, so this is supposed to just be a Cologne tier list. Now, Try... just swapping in for Henny on Imperial. I have yet to see him play for Imperial in the stead of Henny. But I always thought that he was pretty good. I don't know if he's really that much. He was maybe more explosive than Henny, a little bit more aggressive. And for that reason, I'm going to put him at the bottom of an occasional win condition. I would probably take Martinez over Try today, but that's just because I've seen more of Martinez than I have seen of Try. Okay? So we're leaving him there. Now Safe. One thing I don't like about Safe, I don't know what happened, guys. Okay, let's talk about the chronology of and the history of Safe's career. He was a standout player on Pain Gaming. Okay, standout player. The most impressive player on that team for a while. Good with the op, also really solid with the rifle. Then he joins Furia. And Furia just go crazy. Like they're probably one of the hardest teams ever to fit in if you are not the perfect role-for-role fit for their team. They also were playing with Drop at that time instead of even Vinny. And so it felt like Safe was sort of out of his depth as he swapped from being a focal point for Pain, then playing for Fury. Now for MIBR, he's just all right. I'm going to put him at the top of getting by tier. I think one of the reasons he gets by for me is because he's actually pretty proficient with the rifle. And let me bring up Safe's numbers here. I haven't when I watch MIBR games, the people that impress me the most are generally Insani, obviously. Exit has been totally solid as an individual player. It's kind of like Exit and Safe are sort of like vying for a decent position on the team. And then Drop roll for roll has been good too. So this is Safe stats for the last 3 months. And this is sort of in the getting by tier. And I also, from games I've watched, actually the percentage here is pretty good. But I always remember a lot of rifle moments for Safe. Let's actually look at the whole month. Let's look at the whole year. So the whole year, his AWP is 35%. That's not actually that low, but it's kind of in that sub 35, 30. Like around once you're around 30%, I consider you a hybrid. I almost, from the games I watch, want to consider Safe more of a hybrid than some of these guys, but the stats don't seem to back that up. Maybe let's see top 50. Top 30? Does it change considerably? Not really, actually. Okay, so he's still using it a good amount, but for some reason I feel like his contributions are pretty good with the rifle, but not really like a sick Awper. And I don't want to say he's an occasional win. I don't think he's at the level of these guys right now. Okay. Now, SunPayus. Okay, now we're going to get into some of the guys I know a little bit more about. SunPayus, to me, has been lately the third best player from Falcons, but for most of their team, he's been the most consistently strong player. Okay, through the Boros, Dupree swaps, through them trying to find their bearings overall, he's been usually their best player, but like that's not good. That's not a good thing, okay? SunPayus is kind of in between getting by and an occasional win condition for me. He's not nearly on the level of these Awpers where he definitely used to be there. And I think that for me, just because I've seen him more than some of these guys, I want to put him right next to hallzerk right there. But I'd actually think that hallzerk has been better in CS2 than SunPayus. So I'm going to put him right here into an occasional win condition. And I almost feel like he could be a little lower if I knew some of these players a little bit better. Okay. So let me get somebody good. I want to get somebody good. Here. I'm going to skip through this a little bit. Let's go through somebody good. Let's do Shiro. Okay. I want to hype somebody up a little bit. Shiro's just been fantastic lately. Okay. Shiro and Donk are the closest thing we have right now to Simple and Electronic in their prime. And the only difference is that instead it's almost like you're switching shoes between Simple and Electronic. Whereas Simple was the player that constantly amazed us game to game, made us recognize how high the ceiling truly is of Counter-Strike players with the amount of impact that he had game to game. And Electronic was a guy that was cleaning things up, maybe opening up rounds here and there, but getting his kill, finding some space, and letting Simple do the dirty work. Donk, it's like Electronic is on steroids, and Simple just has to do less now. That being said, Shiro has been an incredibly strong player for the year. He is, to me, one of the top 3 Awpers in CS2 overall, and he absolutely should be competing for titles. He doesn't have as much impact game to game as m0NESY, but he doesn't have to. But when he needs to, he does. In terms of what Spirit did to get through the Blast Spring Finals and win it, there was a real chance that Shiro should have actually won the MVP of that until the grand finals where Donk just took over again. But if their run ended at the semifinals and they didn't win that, Shiro would have been a better player than Donk. And it's, in all honesty, Shiro, we say it's a 3-horse race right now for the best player in the world. I actually think that there is a real true opportunity for Shiro to overtake Zywoo for the 3rd best player of the year if Spirit keep winning, Vitality keep losing. And that's not necessarily like my eye test or who I think is overall the better player, but I do think that it's incredibly close even for the top 4 now. Okay? That's how I even want to frame this. syrsoN. He has been abysmal for Big. He has been a hindrance to their success. And despite the fact that getting JDC for Sin was an upgrade, syrsoN was a marked downgrade for Montu. Very, very bad. That being said, Toby is back. And syrsoN is making a little bit of a resurgence. He's making a bit of a resurgence, guys. I need to show you guys this. That at the Blast fall groups, this is what it looked like before Toby. Let me just scroll down. This is what it looked like before Toby right there. These are syrsoN's numbers. Red, very bad, very mid, very bad. But then actually I lied. I thought this was better. Oh, it's because he did horribly versus Navi. Okay. These 2 series made me believe in Big a little bit again and syrsoN a little bit again, and then he fell off again. I have no choice for where I put him, even with having seen some minor comebacks in what he did. I was on a call when this was going on, and I remember watching it on my second monitor during the call. Full respect to who I was in a call with, by the way. And this was like, oh, wow, he's actually positively contributing. And I wanted to raise him up, but I have no choice but to put him in hurting their team. Okay, he's right there on the level of Story. He's right there on the level of a lot of these guys. And Big otherwise are okay. They're an okay team. They're probably like 15th best in the world. Actually, Big are probably like 18th best in the world right now. 18th to 20th best in the world. But because of syrsoN, that's kind of where they are. Okay, if Big, for example, even just had a tri-level player, I think that they'd be top 15 pretty easily. Let's just go for woxic here. Let's go for woxic. Woxic, up and down, streaky, inconsistent, has not found the same form remotely as to what he had when he was back on Maus, obviously, where he's at his best. I'm going to bring up the stats for this, and I want to see just how inconsistent he's been, because to me, I don't know what I'm getting game to game for woxic at all. I'm completely lost. I feel like so much of this team is the Xantares show. And so overall, for the year, 1.14, sure, but let's even put a filter on it. Top 50, 1.13, top 30, 1.12, and let's just see, event to event. Actually, better consistency than I thought. This is better than I thought, actually. Wait, this is definitely better than I thought. Because I felt like map to map, I see like 0 impact from woxic, and then I see games where, is he just getting by because of DPR or something like that? Like, how is his rating that good? I almost don't believe that. What the hell? I'm almost surprised. I'm going to be surprised. Is he just getting high rating because he has such low DPR? Like, I feel like I've seen so many games of very little impact woxic. What do we put LAN? Pretty much the same, actually. Wow. This is shocking. To me, this is shocking. Wow. Wait a second. What was this? Was this the EPL? Oh, yeah. Wow. Actually, you know what? The stats... I was kind of wanted to put woxic in the getting by category, the bottom of getting by. I thought his rating would have been more along lines of like... But it kind of is with the deep... Actually, let's put it side by side with Jame and him. He might actually be occasional win condition. He actually might be occasional win. I think those stats say that, but like I wanted him in getting by. Let me see this. Woxic HLTV. Jame HLTV. Let's do this versus this. Let's put both these guys side by side. Okay, here's woxic for 2024. Let's put Jame 2024. So top 30 filter. 1.12, 0.6 rating versus 1.08. And the thing is that James abusing this with DPR. So woxic definitely is above him. Way more ADR, by the way, too. I'm definitely putting woxic above Jame. But how much? By how much? Crimson Tide. Big fan. You're my new best friend. Thank you. Appreciate it. So we're going to put... I don't know if I could really put woxic, though, in the... He's not... I don't know if I could put him... Occasional win condition. I think I'm going to put him in the top of getting by. Okay. My eye test has to end this discussion for myself. Okay. I wanted him in getting by. I thought it was going to be more like here, but actually I think the stats make me move him up in the category itself. Okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. All right. We've got Ultimate, Fallen, Broky, Waro 2K, torzsi, 910, and Zywoo. Okay. Who to start with? Let's do it. I think people want Ultimate. I think people want Ultimate. We're gonna give the people what the people want. If I'm going by the way that these categories work, I have to put him here. I literally have to put him here just because of what he did to Navi on map 3. I have to put him here. I have to put him here. And I am a bit shocked by it. Okay. I actually think I think that Ultimate had, it looked like his nerves got to him in the beginning of what he did with Liquid in the first regulation. I can't put him in the passes the eye test category, guys, but I'm going to put him right next to hallzerk, okay? I'm going to put him right next to hallzerk. I think Liquid found a bit of a diamond in the rough here with Ultimate. It's only been a single event, but I'm putting him right there next to SunPayus, next to all these guys, because an occasional win condition, he literally was that. He literally was that. He had his moments. He's right there. Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's do this. Let's do this. Blast, fall, groups. Let's see the stats of all of this. Stats of this players. How far up is he? How far up is he? Ultimate, right there. 1.08. Dude, he's literally got lower stats than hallzerk, and hallzerk was losing games. Anybody that thinks that he's better than hallzerk, like, no, that's just not true. Wrinkle was losing practically all of his maps. Let's just do this one by one. I would have put Wrinkle in the passes the eye test category at the very bottom. Okay? Very bottom of passes the eye test and very top of past the very top of an occasional win condition. I would have put Wrinkle right there. Okay? Let's just look at this for 1 second. Ultimate 1.08 rating, and let's just do this. Matches. 75% of maps won. 75% of maps won, whereas Wrinkle won 36% of his maps. What do you think's harder, guys? What do you think is harder to be a highly rated player? Okay, what do you think's harder? Getting a 1.08 winning this many maps, or getting a 1.08 winning this many maps? Okay? There's no way. There's no way. Okay, weapons. Let's look at weapons. His AWP is such a highly used weapon. Wrinkle, on the other hand, is also very highly used on the AWP. Okay, basically the same. There's nothing that's very similar. Very high usage, by the way. Okay, there we go. And hallzerk literally has a better rating than him at the event and was on a worse team. Okay? There. Look at Ultimate's AWP kills. I think it's so... No, that was a lot. That was a lot of AWP kills. Tier 1, by the way. Meanwhile, hallzerk tier 2 opponent. No, that's not even it. That's not even true. Okay, like, Ultimate on some of these matches, it was tough opposition, admittedly. Those are tough opponents. We're keeping him there, okay? I'm not going to delve too deep into this one. Ultimate deserves to be in an occasional win condition, but right now, if you want to put him on this same tier as Wonderful and Device, you're crazy. You're actually crazy. If you want to put him on the same level as Wonderful and Device, that's just insane to me. I'm not doing that. I'm not, like, maybe by the wording alone, I understand why you would think he passes your eye test, but passes the eye test is almost like that's a very big compliment. That's a very big compliment. Okay. There we go. Fallen. Fallen. I think I rate him kind of around Jame. Right now, before I even really look at the stats for Fallen here, I'm going to put him right around Jame. Okay. I think I would probably put him right here, actually. I'd probably put him right there. And I almost think he might be hurting the team in terms of his pure opping. Pure opping, I think he's right around here. I'm going to put him here for now. Let me bring this up. Oof. Okay, so past, let's do the last 6 months. 1.05 versus top opposition. Oof. Let's see lands. Oh, might be hurting team. It's still positive KD. Oof, top 50 filter. Oh, actually went up, weirdly enough. Oh, yeah, he might be in the hurting team category here. I think he has to be, actually. I think he has to be in the hurting your team category. He's the second lowest rated player on the team. We're not really talking about him. Oh, yeah, I can't put him next to Jame. I can't put him next to Jame. Is he better than syrsoN, though, guys? Is he better than syrsoN? I'm gonna actually go with chat on this one. Is he better than syrsoN? Yes. I think yes. I'm thinking yes. I'm thinking yeah. So we're gonna put him there. But in terms of furious construction right now, Queserado, Yuri, I'm kind of hyped up about what Skulls is going to do with this roster, and I think that's a pretty good one. And I think Cello's now in better positions for himself. And Fallen as an individual, if Fallen just gets his individual form up with the op, this team can really do some damage. But I think right now, unless Fallen does, this team is going to continue to be hard capped. Okay. Broky, Waro, torzsi, 910, and Zywoo. Okay, let me put 910. Okay, 910 is a hotly debated player in my stream. People love 910. People love him. You guys love 910. I know you do. I know you guys love 910, and I like 910. I'm not going to say I love 910. I like 910. You can't stand 910. Okay. You're on 910 hater island right there. Okay. And 910, man, what he did at Yala Compass was good. Okay, what he did at Yala Compass was good. I feel like he became a little bit less random, a little bit more consistent with that one. And I'm going to be honest, like, compared to some of these guys, I've seen more from 910 and CS2. Compared to all of these guys, I think the only one that I maybe even would move up is Martinez there, actually. But 910 has to be in the passes the eye test category. Boom, right there. 910, right there. In the passes the eye test category. He's one of the top oppers at IEM Cologne. Yep, he's one of the top oppers at IEM Cologne. He's been really good. Let's bring up the stats here. Let's do this. 9-10. I think I don't see him in the competing for titles category for... Let me change this. The title. There. The title of IEM Cologne. For IEM Cologne. For his performances alone in the last 6 months... I don't want to put him in the should be competing for the title guaranteed because he's good, but not every time is he amazing. Okay. Like these are good numbers. These are good numbers, and he's doing it against hard opposition. Okay. Actually, versus the top, it's kind of weird. Got a weird fall off right here. It's good, kind of a weird fall off, kind of a weird uptick right there. But he does pass the eye test for me. He does pass the eye test for me. A lot of weird stuff. Here, let's put top 50 on this. Let's put a top 50 filter. Top 30? It's still pretty good. I actually think... Okay. Man, the Yala Compass stuff was good, though. The Yala Compass stuff makes me rate him a little higher. I will say... it's kind of like... Actually... I almost want to move Martinez up, honestly. And I think I might move 910 here. You guys think that's fair? I think that's good. I think this is probably better. I think this is the fairest it can be. With Martinez moving up one and then 910 being right there. There. Overrated. Okay. Here we go. Broky, torzsi, Waro, and Zywoo. Okay, we got to save the best for last. So we're going to go with Waro right now. So, Waro, haven't seen him for a little bit because he's been taken off of Monty's roster. He's now being brought in as the replacement for Dexter for Heroic. And I want to put Waro, based off of my own opinion and feeling of him, at the bottom of an occasional win condition, but he might actually just be in the getting by category. Okay, so I'm gonna. Is he better than Try? Is he better than Maka? I don't think he's better than Maka. I don't think he's actually better than Maka. I think he's right next to Try for me. I kind of want to put him right here. I kind of want to put him right here. Here. Now now I have to consult the stats. I think he could even be as low as here because I might have missed some of what Monty did that removed him, okay? But I want to really put him here, okay? Let me bring this up. Woro 2K HLTV. Woro 2K HLTV, 1.17 rating recently. Let's look at the last 6 months. This is pretty good. Top 30 filter, 1.12. It's kind of like 910, but 910 actually did it on a bigger stage. So let's look at the events here. RES events, he's farming. And at the Challenger League event, that's not great. That's not great. That's not the greatest. And they didn't even make it. They didn't make it. And also at the RMR, he did badly. At the RMR, he did badly because they had SDY in and out, and that kind of sucked for them. That really sucked. Could have probably been better. He did well at this Get event. EPL, I mean, EPL is kind of impressive. Let me look at what he did at EPL. FaZe, not that great. Furia, very good, but that was a pretty disastrous Furia. And then kind of meddling results versus these guys. Yeah. I think I'm going to put him in getting by. I think I'm going to put him in getting by right now. Yeah, I think getting by is... getting by. I think getting by, because I think the results here are like versus the top teams. I can't say he passes the eye test like these guys do. Getting by. There we go. Yeah, he in-game led, but like I'm not giving a boost to Device, Fallen, or Woro for that necessarily. What is Jame doing that low? He's not been that good. He's not been that good in CS2 in the last 6 months especially. Okay, broky, torzsi, Zywoo. Okay. He's the gatekeeper. He is the gatekeeper. Just such a solid player. Very little randomness. I'm talking about torzsi. He is the gatekeeper of passing the eye test. To me, I am never really mad about torzsi, guys. I'm like never mad. I know people are like, what is torzsi doing on this team holding back Maus? It's like the same people that are saying Rez is holding back NIP. I don't think that's... I just don't see that. I don't see that. When I watch torzsi, I really think that he's solid. And I honestly think that people are weirdly biased against torzsi for reasons outside the server. Like he doesn't... the way he carries himself outside the server, I think is impeding people's proper judgment of the consistent force that he is for Maus. I'm going to put him in definitely passes the eye test at the very bottom of it. The arena... I want to show this again. Arena rankings. This is why it's so important to know this stuff. This is the spreadsheet I'm going to bring up for torzsi that gives him a huge case. Arena games when it comes to the delta. So how they perform in arenas versus how they do normally. torzsi is only a minus 0.05, and I want you to see how poorly some of his teammates are. Exertion is one of the worst arena performers. Shuhei is one of the worst arena performers. Yimpat is also a very negative arena performer, as is Brolin. Every single person on Maus chokes in arenas. Every single one of them chokes in arenas, except for torzsi. Minus 0.05 is not that big of a deal. That's not that big of a deal to me. That is, look at that. Like, that's staying still. He's still in arenas a 1.12 rating player. Okay? In arenas, he's a 1.12 rating player. That's very good. Okay, you look at the people that are above him in arenas with basically above a 1 series sample size. Look at some of these names that have done well in arenas. Flit, Frozen, Mezzy, Shiro, Broky, Nico, Flames, Look at how the quality of the names that are above him in arenas with a serious sample size. If those are the only names that are above torzsi with above a single series sample size, dude, torzsi's doing really well. Okay, I really feel like people have severely underrated torzsi as a player on this roster. And when you look at some of the other people in arenas, like even Wonderful has done worse in arenas. Even Wonderful has done worse in arenas than torzsi this year with a pretty similar sample size. I mean, okay, it's like 2 more series for Wonderful, but still 3 series versus 5. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. All right. So torzsi definitely passes the eye test. He's not really as much of a group stage warrior, but that's because his team actually does very well in group stages, okay? So I'm not really that against him. In fact, I actually want to move him up a little bit. I think the totality of what torzsi has done this year is a little bit better than Martinez, who only really has shown up for me lately on the radar and also wasn't even at the major. I mean, this isn't a 2024 list. It's kind of like a form rating, but I'm going to do passes the eye. I'm going to do right here. Because it's a little bit based on recent form. I'm going to put them actually right here. This is kind of a recent form tier list. And at the end of the entirety of Cologne, guys, I basically want to be able to look at these ratings that I had here, look at the almost 1-to-1, not HLTV rating, because some of them will just get higher ratings because they don't die as much. But I want to think of like impact and rating and everything like that. Not impact rating either. I'm never going to refer to impact rating, by the way, guys. I'm thinking like the impact they had in the server, plus their rating, plus the level of opposition. Like, take all those contexts, all that context, and I think torzsi's going to end up higher than people talk about. Okay? Broky and Zywoo. We're going to start filling out this top level, guys. We're going to start filling out this top level. It's the only thing we have to think about is how we order it, okay? I'm going to be honest. This is not a question for me. Both of these guys are landing should be competing for titles. Both of these Awpers should be competing for titles based on their individual play, okay? I think if anything, like based off of how good these 4 individuals are, they should all be reaching the semifinals if their whole team matched what they were doing. If their whole team matched their freak, they would all be in the semifinals or the grand finals, okay? There we go. It's not done though. So let me put it back down. Let me put it. Oh, I can't even move it back down. I can't move them off the tier list. Wait, what? I didn't want to put them. I didn't want to actually place them yet. I didn't want it because I don't want people to think that's the order. Okay, here. MartinezSa, Shiro, Zywoo, and Broky. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. This is at the end of the day an Awper tier list. This is an Awper tier list. Zywoo's op is still good. Okay, now we're gonna talk about more about. Okay, the rifling does matter because Zywoo is such a good one. But in terms of if I'm actually like splitting hairs between these 4 players, incredible op presence, unfathomable levels of impact and game winningness. MartinezSa is number 1. Shiro. I'm going to also say this. Shiro, understated impact, okay? The eye test will have you believe that he should be at the bottom of these 4. The eye test should have you believe that. But the eye test does not capture all of his kills because the observers are always on donk. So you don't even get to see all of the impact and kills and frags that Shiro has. Also, Shiro is really good with the rifle. Shiro is damn good with the rifle too. The clutches that he had at the Blast Spring Finals is why I am actually definitively putting him above Zywoo. I am putting him above Zywoo because he ate Zywoo. He ate him. I want to show this. Semifinals. Shiro, 1.3 rated player on stage. 1.3 rated player, 1.2 rating for Zywoo. Shiro had some unreal clutches in this one. Unreal. He had more ADR than Zywoo. Let's see the head-to-head. I want to see the head-to-head on this one. Head-to-heads don't always matter, but on this very splitting hairs power ranking, 13-13. Oh my god. 13-13. And op kills, 5-5. Ooh. Oh, damn. But he beat him. This is up. This is up. 5-5, 13-13. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. It's close. It's so close. How about first kills? Oh, actually, Zywoo did beat him there. But Shiro clutched up. Shiro clutched up in this game and handed Vitality their own asses. In the winning... Let's see the winning maps. Oh, my God. 1.48 rating for Shiro. And where was Zywoo? 1.12 in this winning map for Shiro. Dude, he went... Actually, this is kind of crazy because it's 15-8, but he had 99 ADR. It almost looks like Donk should have higher ADR usually, but Shiro was... Shiro balled. Shiro balled. Anubis here. Also, Shiro, 1.55 rating to Zywoo's 1.05. In map 3, where fates are determined, where legacies are made, Shiro cleared Zywoo. And that is why I will put Shiro above Zywoo. And I'm also going to say this. When it comes to broky, we've all seen broky's impact. We've all seen the highlights. We've all seen how incredible he can be. But broky is at the 4th position here, guys. Broky's at the 4th position, okay? He's 4th, okay? All right. I'm not going to put him above Zywoo, Shiro, or MartinezSa, guys. Okay. He's really, really good, okay? Broky is very, very good. He's very good. Let's look at him. Broky's very good in arenas. I rate him very highly. And he's done ungodly things in arenas as well. His rating lately, he's playing the best teams in the world. He's still putting up quite solid numbers. But what's hurting him here, weirdly enough, is a group stage, essentially. What's unfortunate about this whole thing is that what hurt him the most in rating is that it's the Blast Fall groups. And this is a group stage. And I don't really worry about this as much as like the other stuff he's done lately. Let's go even last 6 months. I mean, like, his worst event is basically a studio environment group stage, guys. Okay, like, if anything, broky is a high... So the reason people are like, oh, but his rating's lower than some of these people, it's like, to me, that's not broky's fault. Like, broky's still really, really good. And if anything, he's a high-stakes merchant. Broky is a high-stakes merchant. At the major 1.21, you know, at events that they're going, you know, he's doing quite well. He has a couple weird, like, little lower ones. But if his only event where he has a sub 1.0 KD is a Blast Fall groups, I'm giving him a pass. Okay, I'm giving him a pass. Let's look at all three of these guys. Let's look at all three of these guys for the last 6 months right now and see what kind of number, what they're doing event to event. Shiro's getting ungodly numbers. Spirit are also doing very well, but he's getting some ungodly numbers. Okay, let's see Zywoo here. Last 6 months. Also ungodly numbers. And then MartinezSa. I think the one event where he's going to look bad is the one where he literally got off a plane and into the server. Okay, I'm not going to hold that against him too strongly. And yeah, that's the case. Ungodly numbers beyond that. Ungodly numbers beyond that. So, ooh. I will say that with broky, there's a case you could put him here. I think the only thing I could change is broky down here, maybe 1. But like, I like how this tier list looks right now. I like how this tier list looks. S tier should have the least. This should be, it should kind of scale like this. It could be here or here. But I think the thing is that broky is such an arena merchant. Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at the arena stats again. So where's broky on this? Broky is only behind. So broky in arenas has actually been better than Shiro, who falls off in arenas. Okay, there. And broky in arenas, yeah, I mean, that matters. That does matter. He's an arena merchant. He's a high-stakes merchant. He's a high-stakes merchant. Okay. That's the tier list. I'm settled with this. Should be competing for the title. MartinezSa, Shiro, Zywoo, broky for their play as Awpers and what they're contributing to the team. Passes the eye test. Wonderful device. 9-10. torzsi, Martinez. An occasional win condition is hallzerk, ultimate, SunPayus, Maka, and try. Getting by. Still okay. Getting by. Waro 2K, Woxic, Safe, Zorte, who's not going to be at IEM Cologne, Jame, hurting the team, NQZ, Fallen, syrsoN, Story, Alistair, and Hyped. Okay? That's it. Thanks so much. As always, being toxic is a choice.